Hello everyone, welcome to Modpack Development, the series where we develop a mod pack because, you know, what else would you do in a Modpack Development series? So this is episode 0 of this series, meaning that we're going to be doing the pre-development shenanigans and stuff like that, and so it is probably going to be a little more boring than most of the episodes of this series, where we actually do most of the episodes in this series will probably actually do a little bit more in-game and stuff like that, whereas this one will mostly just be behind the scenes thought process type things and stuff like that. So yeah, episode 0, let's get started. What goals do I have in mind for this pack? That is a great question. And so as you can see here, right now I've just given it the temporary placeholder name of restructured. And you'll see here with these goals why I decided to give it that temporary name of all of the things. The direction that I want this pack to go in, I have 5 big things here. And I want to use the crafting table very sparingly. I want to not have a super resource-heavy progression. I want to have lots of cross-mod integrations. I want to have lots of cross-mod integrations. And I want to have little to no content overlap. And the last one just means that I want it to be of pretty good quality. Top tier quality. It's going to be a good mod pack. At least that's the plan. I have, as you can see here, this is Multi-MC. It is a Minecraft instance launcher. And this is actually my first time ever using Multi-MC. Up until this point, I've only used Twitch Launcher and the old Feed the Beast / CurseWords launchers and stuff like that for modded Minecraft, and the Technique Launcher way back when. But yeah, now I'm on Multi-MC. The future is here. So there could be a couple of things that I just really don't understand. I've messed around a little bit with some of the settings and stuff like that just to try and make it a little nicer. There's a cat here. I don't know why. But yeah, anyway, so here we are. We got stuff. We got a couple of extra bits and pieces in our Notepad++ here. Some languages for ZenScript, .cfg and JSON files. And we'll just have to see how this ends up working out. Okay, now what mods are going to be in this? I have gone through and put together a mod list right here, and I have sorted them into several different categories. And so each of the mods appears on this list only once in one of the categories. So here we go. We got our major progression mods. These are mods that are going to be directly affiliated with the progression and are going to play a big part in it. These are things like actually additions, mechanism, thermal expansion, yeah, things like that, you know. And so, yes, this is going to be a custom crafting pack. I don't know if I would call it an expert pack, though. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's going to have... The reason I call it restructured is because I want to completely redefine all of the defaults here. I'm not going to use the default progression for any of these mods. I'm going to use... I'm going to completely restructure the progression through all of these, and I want each of them to be used throughout the entire modded experience of the pack. And so we're going to be using mechanism things early on and later on, all the way into the late game. We're going to be using Project D earlier on as well. We're going to be using some of the factory tech stuff later on. We're going to, you know, and that's the plan here. Now, we don't want it to be super grindy or to not feel like there's any progression whatsoever. There is absolutely going to be progression. Moving on to the next category, minor progression mods. These are mods that are kind of affiliated with the progression, but not necessarily directly and not as a major part of the progression, such as simple gravel ores. Those are going to be part of the ore processing shenanigans that I have planned. Simple storage network is just an early game AE2 alternative. Simply jetpacks, that's going to be the big flight option here for a good chunk of it. Solar Flux Reborn is kind of going to be progression-based. It's going to be pretty much completely optional. You don't have to get into solar panels if you don't want to. They're not going to be super great. They're going to be kind of expensive because solar panels are super easy. But I did want to include those as an option because there is going to be a lot of different things in this pack, and it could get kind of overwhelming if you don't have any sort of comfort zone to fall back on. And so I decided that I would include the Solar Flux Reborn. Spice of Life Carrot Edition, you get HP scaling, that's pretty cool, and Woot, things like that. Other content mods, these are mods that add additional content to the mod pack, tweak things and other stuff like that, while also not necessarily being directly tied into the progression. So this would be stuff like Agricraft. I want to include Agricraft because, well, I like Agricraft. I know I'm kind of an odd one out there. I do actually really enjoy Agricraft. But it's going to be completely optional, not required for this stuff. And it won't have any of the resource plants, so it won't be like you're missing out on a major whatever option by not going through Agricraft to do stuff. What are some other ones here? We got like Quark, Scannable, the Weirding Gadget, that's a chunk loader. You'll probably use that at some point. Thermal Cultivation, that's just watering cans, that's what that is. Anyway, and things like that. Convenience mods, these are mods that are just nice to have, such as like Apple Skin, that provides the little saturation overlay. If you see the little yellow bars on top outlining some of your food stuff in some mod packs, that's your saturation level. And so that's what Apple Skin adds, is the saturation level on things. Other bits and stuff like that, we got the Better Questing quest book. I like having a quest book fit a actual item stack quest book in my inventory. Other stuff includes like sleeping bags, things like that. Anyway, next category, back-end mods. These are mods that I use to make the pack what it is, and don't necessarily add any content otherwise. Any really noticeable content. Okay, well, I put JEI in back-end mod because honestly, who doesn't have JEI in their pack? And why do you not have it in your pack? These are, but a really prime example of what a good back-end mod would be like Craft Tweaker right here, and custom main menu, and other bits and pieces like that you use to make the pack what it is, like Loot Tweaker and so on and so forth. Toast Control, the whole bit there. And the last category is library mods. These are mods that are required for the other mods in the pack to run. Don't really have any choice over that other than just the fact that if I get rid of Spice of Life Carrot Edition, I can get rid of Apple Core because I don't need it for anything else. No, Apple Core is not a dependency for Apple Skin, so don't worry about that. Anyway, so yeah, that is my list of mods, and I've actually even gone a step further, and because this is going to be such a weird progression and stuff like that, we have our Excel spreadsheet here with all of the mod list and so on and so forth, and a role that each of them is going to play in the pack here. And so we have, say for example, let's go with Botania. So Botania is going to be used for, in our power generation roles right over here, these are just like your RF and your mana and stuff. What role is it going to play in power generation, and this is your just main role, what role it's going to play in progression and otherwise, just in the pack in general. Botania is going to be used for magical ingredient crafting and gem creation. So in order to make diamonds and a bunch of other stuff like that, you're actually going to need to go through Botania, because that's the way it's going to go. Now, let's look at a couple of other things here. Say for example, Gendustry. Gendustry, we want to use that for the custom bees feature. It has backend, and just allow people to better manipulate the bees and stuff like that in game. Say for example, now let's move on. Mechanism, for example, is going to be all about processing and creating crafting ingredients and tools. Yeah. Anyway, you kind of get the point, right? And so One thing that's also going to be different about this pack is that I'm not going to be afraid to disable something if it is content overlap. If it is content overlap, I will be more than happy to disable something because I feel that it's unnecessary in the pack. Yeah, anyway, and you can see I went through and talked about a little bit about what each of these adds and stuff like that to the pack, and what I want them, why I have included them in there. So how did I actually go through and decide which mods I was going to? Honestly, when I want to look for mods in a pack, I go to minecraft.curseforge.com, look at the mods list for the version that I want, and I just literally just go through every single page up to like 75 or something like that, where the mods start to become super repetitive, and it can be a lot of fun. I do recommend having a thought as far as what your pack is and what it's going to be before you actually go through the mods here. And also, this isn't a final list of mods. This is probably going to change ever so slightly throughout the course of development of the pack, but that's okay. This is what we're starting out with. This is the foundation we are laying, and so I'm going to start this up. And anyway, I have installed all of the mods into the profile here, and if we look at the mods folder, we can see all of the mods, right here. And let's drag this on over too. Hey, there we go. So the main goal in loading it up right now was to try and make sure that it didn't crash, because sometimes when you include certain mods in a pack, they will conflict and crash, and it didn't crash, so that's great. Super happy about that. 135 mods loaded, great. Kind of a mid-sized pack. It's not really a heavy pack like Project Ozone or anything. They tend to sit around 300 mods a piece. But it's not really a light pack either, because those tend to be 100 mods or less. But So it's kind of a mid-sized pack, and that was the goal, honestly. It's kind of a mid-sized pack. We're actually going to go in and create a little test world that we can do stuff in. So let's do that. We want it to be a creative world. We want it to call it test world or something like that. What I like for my test worlds is a super flat overworld without any of the other shenanigans going on right here. Use preset, done, and no structures. Okay, I just got rid of the tutorial books and a couple of other little bits here. Because mods don't always work the same way you think they do, sometimes they'll do things like this, like gravel ores is spawning here, we have the Pam's gardens spawning here, and a bunch of other stuff like that. Honestly, it really doesn't matter to me. Not actually anything we can do about that, but to set up the thing like I like it, I like to do daylight cycle false, do weather cycle false, and do mob spawning to false. So no more entities or anything else like that are going to spawn in this world. Yeah, anyway, so we have set up and successfully prepared to actually go in and start doing some pack development, and not just the pre-development planning phase and getting everything together. So we've started up the pack, we've selected our mods, we've done all that stuff, and so we are now ready to do something else. And so that is actually the end of the pre-development phase. And as such, it is the end of the episode too.